Lungile is a South African national. He dreamt of playing football in Europe, but this dream never materialised. The promise of doing so in Spain, where he arrived in 2019, was never delivered due to money problems with his agent. So he asked the International Organisation for Migration for help to go back home after his request for asylum in Belgium was refused on the basis that it was a Spanish problem. But then things changed back home.
Even when I got here, I got like 3 football clubs, but then I couldn't join them because I didn't have work permit, I didn't have my papers, so I only did training. Last July, I had like my firstborn, so I had to think about that, if I can't do this, I can't waste all this time while he's young, and also the mother. Like, I just have to do what I can and try to be there and help, So rather than bringing them and traveling with them like to this time, I don't want them to go through the stress and panic that I have to go through.
The International Organisation for Migration helps people that voluntarily want to return home to their native countries. In Lungile's case, they funded his return ticket and means to start an educational podcast that will talk about his own professional challenges. But the EU wants to increase the number of people who return home. On average per year, 370,000 EU asylum applications are refused, but only a third actually go back home. The Commission's new migration proposal will mean that member states that refuse to receive refugees and migrants will now be able to sponsor their return. But this might be a risky project, says an expert in migration and international law.
It's actually a policy that is going to create walls. And by creating walls, it's not going to solve the problem. It's just creating more law enforcement work and actually more work in courts, because the problem is that there are going to be clashes with the international law obligations of states. These are measures which are very dangerous for the protection of human rights, for the protection of the principle non-refoulement. That's the basic principle, not to send someone to a country where they are at risk of torture or risk for their life.
The Belgian government is part of the International Organisation for Migration project and sees room for improvement with the return process.
I think the majority is single men, but more and more we see also families with children who return, more and more vulnerable cases, people who've been on the street and undocumented for a long time. So also for the preparation, the reintegration, it's very important that we take time, that we give enough support, that we have reliable partners in the country of origin.
The European Commission will now appoint a returns coordinator to work with member states and third countries. Christopher Pitches, Euronews, Brussels.